Hello, Dr. Mark Dailey here. Today we're going to start a series on gut function. And I will say that I look at the gut like the hub of a wheel. And the hub of the wheel has spokes that reach to every area of the body. The gastrointestinal tract, as you'll soon find out, plays a key role in human health. So I want you to listen carefully. I want you to learn, and I want you to apply what you learn to your health so that you can accomplish your purpose and that you can reach your destiny. As many of you know, I'm a doctor of chiropractic that specializes in chronic conditions like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, thyroid conditions, and improper gut functions of many sorts. Now, we don't treat disease in our clinic. We get an overall picture of our patient's health through specific lab panels, health histories, questionnaires, exams, x-rays, if necessary, and their past medical history. We then look for deviations from normal, from a specific functional perspective, and then we correct them in a certain order. Now, it would be a very rare occasion for patients with some type of chronic condition like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, or even a thyroid condition not to have some kind of gastrointestinal dysfunction. Now, many of you should be shaking your heads. Yes, that's true, I do. It's been said that health starts in the gastrointestinal system. It can also be said, in my opinion, that disease starts in the gastrointestinal system. And from a clinical perspective, that is often what I see. With that said, we need to talk very seriously about gut function, how it relates to health and how it relates to chronic disease. I really don't want to bore you with a lot of details about gut function, but at the same time, I want you to understand how amazing your GI system is and how it relates to good health, and equally as important, how it relates to chronic disease. So please bear with me while I give you some background. Then we can talk more specifically about how it relates to chronic disease and good health. Now, have you ever wondered why people get butterflies in their stomach before going on stage? Why a job interview can cause an attack of stomach cramps? Or why antidepressants targeted for the brain can cause nausea or abdominal upset in millions of people who take drugs? The reason for this is the body has two brains, if you will. The familiar one, housed in the skull, and the lesser known but very important one found in the human gut. The two brains are interconnected. When one gets upset, the other can too. The gut's brain is known as the enteric nervous system. It's located in sheaves of tissue lining the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestines, and the colon. Considered a single entity, it is a network of neurons and neurotransmitters and proteins that send messages between neurons, support cells like those found in the brain, and a complex circuitry that enables it to act independently, to learn, to remember, and as the saying goes, produce gut feelings. The brain in the gut plays a huge role in human happiness and distress. And for those of you who have out-and-out gastrointestinal trouble, you know it can create some serious distress. However, very few people know it exists. And for years, people who had ulcers, problems swallowing, or chronic abdominal pain were told that their problems were imaginary, emotional, simply all in their heads. They were then sent to a psychiatrist for treatment. Nearly every substance that helps run and control the brain has shown up in the gut. Major neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, glutamate, norepinephrine, nitric oxide, they're in the gut. They're found in the gut. 24 small brain proteins called neuropeptides are in the gut, as are major cells of the immune system. Inside higher animals, the brains are only loosely connected to the central nervous system and can mostly function alone without instruction from the main brain, if you will. This is indeed the picture seen by developmental biologists. See, a clump of tissue called the neural crest forms very early in the womb. One section turns into the central nervous system, which you may remember is the brain and the spinal cord. The other piece migrates to become the enteric nervous system. Only later are the two nervous systems connected via a cable called the vagus nerve. So until recently, relatively recently, people thought that the gut's muscles and sensory nerves were wired directly to the brain, and that the brain controlled the gut through two pathways that increased or decreased rates of activity. The gut was said to be a tube with simple reflexes. Trouble is, no one bothered to count the nerve fibers in the gut. When they did, they were completely surprised to find that the gut contains 100 million neurons. That's more than the spinal cord. Yet, the vagus nerve only sends a couple of thousand nerve fibers to the gut. The two brains act the same way when they're deprived of input from the outside world. During sleep, the main brain produces 90-minute cycles of slow wave sleep punctuated by periods of rapid eye movement, REM. That is the sleep where dreams occur. During the night, when it has no food, the gut's brain produces 90-minute cycles of slow wave muscle contractions punctuated by short bursts of rapid muscle movements. The two brains may influence each other while in this particular state as well, because people with bowel problems have been shown to have abnormal REM sleep. This finding is consistent with the folk wisdom that indigestion can produce nightmares. Now, with this little bit of information, do you think it's important to talk about the gut and how it relates to chronic disease? In the next video, we're going to get a little bit more in depth and give you some real insight into your own condition and overall health. Thanks, though, for your time and attention. We'll see you soon.